I think we good, Jordan?
Yep.
Okay. So, hello everyone. It's May 4th. Thanks for joining us for today's Burlington COVID-19 briefing. And I think on your screen, maybe you'll see Adam Roof, who's the head of the BTV Ignite, who will be joining us in a second. Just a couple opening thoughts from me as we kick off another week. I hope you all had a excellent weekend, enjoyed the weather, and welcome to another month. Here we go with May, and I know that. Where else?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I know that we are in a transition time in this crisis. It's one that I think has a lot of optimism and hopefulness in it. We are, as we reported with Dr. Leffler on Friday, the number of infections in Chittenden County currently, the new infections is very low. There are very few people in the hospital. We got an update on that this morning in the city's morning meeting. We have, I believe it was 4 people in the hospital right now with COVID-19. No one has been on a ventilator in days. And, in some ways, I think we can all almost feel the potential and the hope of elements of our normal lives returning. And that's something we're all looking forward to. At the same time, I know there's a great deal of anxiety about what that means. We've gotten a little bit used to this stay home posture and figured out how to functioning in it and what this next phase looks like, how we reopen elements of the community while staying safe, while protecting the populations that are very vulnerable to this virus is something that there are enormous questions about and there are not enough answers about yet. This week, this is certainly what the city is focusing a lot of attention on. And I think in the Wednesday and the Friday briefings, you'll be hearing more from us on what to expect in the coming weeks, how the city is thinking about this transition. And, just wanted people to know that this is very much what we're in communication with the state about, and just to validate if you are feeling anxiety and uncertainty about that. I think it's something we all are. We haven't been through something like this as a community in 100 years, and we're figuring it out. And I know that's a cause of a lot of questions. So we're going to do our best to answer those questions in the coming days. Today we have a brief update for you that we're going to get right into that has some positive news in it. If we could advance, Olivia, we're excited to announce some accelerated community investment through BTV Ignite. So if people remember, one of the elements of the transaction that moved Burlington Telecom from being a city department to Schurz Communication was a commitment from Schurz that there would be $3 million worth of community investment by the new Burlington Telecom over a decade. That was one of the negotiated points in the process that we went through. And in last fall during Innovation Week, we announced the start of those investments. Those investments are planned to be made on a annual basis, about approximately $300,000 a year. And the last fall during Innovation Week, we announced the award of the first of the STEM Technical Fund grants. There was $50,000 in grants split between Generator and Mercy Connections, a women's small business program with Mercy Connections. And what was announced was that the opening of the Burlington Telecom Innovation Fund for investing in Burlington companies would be opening around the beginning of the year. I'm pleased to have updates on both these programs for you today that are, I think, at a time with a lot of uncertain financial news. We have some good news here. The Burlington Telecom has committed to working with BTV Ignite and the BTV Ignite board to accelerating its next round of $50,000 in workforce development grants, these STEM and technical skill fund grants. They have committed, instead of waiting until next fall for that process, they are opening this round now. We'll have in a moment the executive director, Adam Roof, to talk about how this new round will work. This is originally planned for October of this year, but has been moved up. In addition, and we'll let Adam speak to some of these details in a moment. The other kind of significant announcement that I welcome is that not only is Burlington Telecom SURE going forward with the first round of investment fund funding now, and we'll have in the coming few weeks a couple $100,000 of investments to announce. They are also announcing that there will be a second round in 2020. There will be a fall round in addition to this spring round. And given the financial uncertainty that we're under here, given the large number of companies that are having to retrench, pull back, delay, postpone investments of all types, the fact that these investments are happening here in Burlington, 2 rounds of investment of this magnitude in the Burlington economy in 2020, I think is welcome news at a tough time financially, economically for the city. So, Adam, why don't we bring you in here? Thank you for the work you've done with both of these programs to make this possible. I really, when the economic storm clouds gathered, I really wondered if it would be possible for this to move forward. Congratulations. Thank you that it is moving forward. What else can you share with the community about these programs and how we should expect them to unfold?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on today. This is exciting. I'm also really happy to be announcing that upwards of $550,000 all in will be available to our community over the coming months within this calendar year. I think that I want to start by thanking Burlington Telecom and Sure's Communication for being focused on this when we approached them for an accelerated timeline. We were unsure, but they responded immediately and as we were hoping for them to respond, which was collaboratively and willing to move up this timeline to meet more immediate need. Otherwise, these dollars, especially the grant dollars, would have been made available this fall. I think I'll start just by reminding folks a little bit about BTV Ignite. We are a local nonprofit that's focused on economic and community development, primarily focused in the tech sector. With the COVID-19 crisis that came to us in early March, we became laser focused on helping Burlington businesses and our workforce, whichever way we can, to remain resilient, remain strong during this time, and also look to the future of how they can be bold in the coming months and years, this pandemic being a reality. So a little bit more detail on the application process for the STEM and technical grant. The application is open now, and you can go to btvignite.com and go to our community investments section, and you can download that application. Not only did we move up the opening date for the application, we're also going to accelerate the timeline for review so we can get the money deployed sooner rather than later. We're hoping to have the applications will close on May 22nd, so that's a relatively short period of time for folks to apply. If you have any questions, please go to btvignite.com, reach out to me directly, and we can make sure that you have what you need to fill out that application. The review committee will meet later on this month with the goal of deploying those dollars out by, at the latest, early next month. Really exciting news on the investment fund. That committee has been meeting and they are very close to announcing the initial $200,000 worth of investment into local businesses. And with another round, Moreau, like you said, for later on this fall. The reason, if people are asking why that fund is upwards of closer to 500,000, that's because investments weren't the first year for that investment committee to meet. They were not able to get investments out the door in 2019, but that rolls over to this year. So we now have that funding available 2 times over for this calendar year. Moving on from the community investment pieces, I wanted to also highlight some new programs and partnerships that I'm really excited about, and I think that businesses and workers will be excited about as well. The first is a retail resiliency webinar that's being presented in partnership with the University of Vermont Continuing Education and Distance Learning Department. We're calling this webinar, which is free, How to Move from Storefront to Shopify in Under an Hour. This free webinar will be this Thursday from 12:30 to 1:30, and the information to register for that is on the BTV Ignite website as well under COVID-19 support. Check that out. If you have any questions, please let me know, and be sure to share it. This is an amazing resource for retail stores and merchants, especially in that industry, have been impacted significantly. And when businesses count on year over year foot traffic, like on the Church Street Marketplace, and that evaporates or is limited over time, a Shopify store or some sort of e-commerce solution is incredibly important for folks to keep sales moving and jobs moving as well. Connected to that point where we want to connect merchants and business owners and workers with resources, we also have established a new program called the Burlington Small Business Digital Presence Program. This is a program that's addressing the need of businesses that we've heard time and time again that need support and help getting online. It may be a retail store, it may be any other business that needs an updated website or a website to start with. If they're selling things, they need e-commerce solutions. If they need to drive traffic to their website, they need SEO or SEM support. And what we've done is connect with freelancers and professionals with those technical skills across our community, and we have a program set up to connect those professionals with technical expertise with businesses that need support. We also have some funding available to subsidize or help cover the cost for that working relationship. We're also really happy to be providing work opportunities for folks in this field who are also suffering from the pandemic crisis. Murrow, those are the quick updates. I'm happy to go into more detail if you or anyone else has more questions on those programs. All of this information is on the BTV Ignite website, btvignite.com. Will also be in a press release that will be sent out to our press contacts, and that will also be posted on the website. Thanks.
Adam, thank you. That's a great update, and I just have this sense that those funds, again, when this storm hit, I really wondered, is this going to impact Burlington Telecom to the degree that they're going to struggle to make these kind of community investments? I really welcome the news that Burlington Telecom is moving forward with these community investments as they committed, in fact, faster than they committed. And I just have this positive feeling from this that not only are there going to be all sorts of younger Burlingtonians who are helped directly by these grants, and not only are there going to be kind of early stage Burlington companies that might have a very hard time surviving this economic storm without an infusion of dollars like this, not only are they going to have an opportunity directly now, it just says something I think very positive about and reassuring to me about the future of the Burlington economy at this uncertain moment when we have just spectacularly high unemployment nationally, big questions about how the economy is going to come out of this. The fact that we have stories like this, people continuing to invest in Burlington, Beta continuing to invest at the airport, just to me is another reminder that we're going to get through this, that this is an incredibly strong community with lots of very positive things happening, and COVID-19 hasn't ended all that. There is still positive positive trends happening, and despite all the kind of short-term uncertainty, there's a lot of reasons for hope and confidence in the future. Thank you also for these. That webinar sounds. It is just great that BTV Ignite is able to step up in this moment and help our Burlington businesses through this uncertainty, help them innovate, transform as is needed in this moment, and make these kind of resources available. So very much appreciated, Adam. If you want to stick around, we have just a couple other short items. Why don't you stick around in case there's some questions from the media in a moment. Let's move on now, though, to the update on the mask distribution. So, we talked about this on Friday. We're not going to go over all of this, but we had great turnout at the first mask distribution this morning. There were hundreds of people or hundreds of masks distributed. And so we did just want to remind everyone what the other hours were this week that Burlingtonians can come and pick up masks. And we also are announcing some new locations. So these there on the screen, you can see these are 3 new locations that were not announced last week, where at certain hours, Burlingtonians are going to be able to pick up masks. So you can see Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. You can go to the Burlington Police Department and pick up masks there. They are masks like the ones you see, I guess, pictured really on me in the center of the screen there. These are these durable, high-quality masks that have been sewed by Burlington community members, and some of them have been sewed by Vermont Teddy Bear and the Guild of Workers who supports Lyric Theater and the Milton Sewers Guild. These masks will be available Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 11 a.m. at the police department. Burlington City Arts will distribute some on Wednesday. We'll get those hours announced shortly. And the Old North End Community Center at 20 Allen Street will also be distributing masks on Wednesday. We will push out those hours through other channels. And then, Olivia, do we have a slide that reminds people where the grocery store hours are this week? Or I guess you're just saying check that link there for the grocery store times, right?
Yes, that's right. And one clarification for the distribution location at BCA on Pine Street and the Old North End Community Center. I'm not sure those hours will be on Wednesday, but we will know the hours by Wednesday and be announcing them on Wednesday.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll announce them on this program during the briefing on Wednesday. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, right.
Or sometime on Wednesday it'll be posted. We'll get that information out. There will be more opportunities there. And then, since we're talking about masks, we did just want to remind people, something I definitely heard some from constituents this weekend is it did seem like this weekend versus earlier weeks, there was less use of masks and face coverings in general. And we did, while we're talking about masks, just want to remind people what the guidance is currently from the state of Vermont. The Vermont Department of Health is recommending that whenever you leave your home, that you wear cloth face covering. Not quite whenever, let me be clear. It includes when you are doing the trips shown there. Essential workers going to work should be wearing a mask. Riding a bus, walking on a crowded street, trips to the grocery store, and other essential tasks like listed in that bullet. It is the recommendation from the state is wear some kind of face covering, ideally something high quality like these Burlington masks, but if not, a scarf will do as well. There are some times when the guidance is not necessarily to wear a mask. If you're going for a walk in the woods, or you're going in your neighborhood and you don't expect to see very many people, go ahead and you can go out without your face covering. It is recommended that you bring a mask, so you bring face covering in case you encounter other people and you stop to chat. Similarly, if you're going for a run or a bike in areas that are not too crowded, it's not recommended necessarily that you wear a mask. And then people who cannot remove their masks, like children under 2, the guidance does not include them. Couple reminders there at the bottom in terms of what the guidance is. Even when you have face covering, it's still recommended that you maintain the social distance of at least 6 feet between you and individuals from another household. There is also a recommendation that you wash your face covering very frequently, daily. And there's more information about face coverings at healthvermont.gov. That's the Vermont Department of Health. I think it's worth saying this is the current guidance. I do think as we move into the coming months, there may be times where this guidance shifts. This is what is being recommended by the state now. I think it's also worth noting that there are some places, some organizations, like the City of Burlington is saying for city workers are required to wear face coverings. There are other organizations that have certain rules about requirements. This is the general current mask guidance, face covering guidance for the public. And then I think we have one final note for the day, which is the Fun at Home resource of the day. And once again, this is coming from our team over at the Fletcher Free Library, which has added remote access to Ancestry.com. So long as you have a library card from the City of Burlington, from the Fletcher Free, you can access that incredibly powerful website. You can use this to learn about your family history and to look up older records. And in fact, that is what is happening in the photo here, is that the gnomes who we have followed their progress and their activities on this briefing several times, they are checking out the census from the year 1900, which of course is a final reminder to close with today, which is that it is census season. If you haven't filled out your census yet, you can go check out information about the census there on the City of Burlington website. The COVID-19 emergency makes it more important than ever that you finish your census form. You still have plenty of time to do it, but why not do it today? Go get the information there on the Burlington website. That's what we got for today. Is there anyone on the line, Olivia, that has questions?
No, no questions from members of the media today.
All right, great. Well, just think sometimes there's been no questions, and we remind people you can get your question asked by emailing Olivia, right? That's the way we do it, Olivia.
That's right, yes.
So if anyone has a quick question, Adam and I will procrastinate for a couple more seconds here. If people want to send in any questions about these BTV Ignite programs or anything else. Adam, how are you?
And actually, that is the second that it took. We do have a question now.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is from Aiden Quigley at VT Digger. Aiden has two questions. The first one is, has Schurz increased their promised commitment to the city or accelerated the delivery of the funds that they promised during the sale? Does this mean they will be providing less at the tail end of their commitment?
So Adam, correct me if I get this wrong. This is basically the acceleration is that the $50,000 for year 2 of the STEM program, we had expected that in the fall. Instead, it's being made available now in the spring. So there's that acceleration. And then in addition, there is this commitment to making essentially year 2 of the larger approximately $250,000 investment fund commitment, whereas, under the old timetable, I think we would have expected that to be rolling out somewhere around the first quarter of 2021. We are here. There's a commitment to have a fall round in addition to the spring round. So those are sort of the accelerations by a matter of months. In no way do I read this, Adam, as a reduction in the overall commitment of $3 million over 10 years. both of these programs are coming out somewhat faster than they could have been if CSRS wasn't committed to having this kind of impact. You want to add anything to that, Adam?
No, I'll just reiterate that there's just to be clear, there's no reduction in the overall commitment of $3 million over 10 years. What we've done is worked to change the timing of the deployment of those funds to better meet immediate need. Holding off a couple of months did not seem right. It took some work to move up the timeline, and that's the work that we committed to, and we're excited to get this out at the end of April as opposed to later in the fall or in the winter of later this year.
Second question from Aiden is, has the city issued any tickets for violating the governor's stay-home order?
So as of the end of last week, the answer to that was no. I did not hear that we issued any this weekend, and I think given that we hadn't yet, I think I don't believe we have yet, but why don't we, Olivia, circle back with Chief Morrison and just confirm that after we're off of this today and send Aiden a confirmation. I'm not aware of us having issued any tickets. I know that both of the past 2 weekends, the police department has been busy engaging some larger gatherings, but I'm not aware that any tickets were issued.
Great. And yes, I will follow up with you, Aiden, too. And that is, it looks like that's all the questions we have for today.
All right, great. Adam, good to see you. Thank you for your hard work with all this, and good to see you again. We missed you at the city council meetings the last couple weeks. Good to see you're keeping yourself busy.
I've been keeping myself busy, but it's good to see you as well. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Take care, everybody. Our plan is to be back on Wednesday at the regular time, 2 o'clock, and we're planning on a Friday briefing as well, and we have a city council meeting coming up next Monday, so it should be a busy week. Look forward to seeing everybody again soon. Stay safe, everyone.